Hello, I'm going to introduce to you the structure of a muscle fiber. First, let's start off with location. The skeletal muscle is about 40% of the human body, while 10% of the human body is both smooth and cardiac muscle. So think about it. Wherever there is bone, there is skeletal muscle attached. Cardiac muscle is specific to the heart and contracts the muscle of the heart. There are three types of cardiac muscle. The cardiac muscle cells are called cardiomyocytes. You have atrioventricular, excitatory, and conductive fibers. Atrioventricular fibers contract similar to skeletal, but not as long as skeletal muscle. Excitatory conductive fibers have weak contractions due to the few fibers that they have. Smooth muscle is found in the viscera of the body, such as in the gastrointestinal tract, the uterus, the ureters, and blood vessels, and is also found in the iris muscle of the eye. Smooth muscle also is made of smaller fibers than skeletal muscle. So what are the functions of these muscle types? The function of skeletal muscle is to voluntarily move body parts or temporarily alter the shape of internal organs by reducing their circumference and to stabilize bones and other structures. Cardiac muscle is involuntary, and its function forms most of the walls of the heart and great vessels such as the aorta and pumps blood. Smooth muscle, which is also involuntary, moves substances through sequential contractions. So what are these muscles made of? These muscles are made of myofibrils, which are structural subunits of muscle fibers. Myofibrils are made of myofilaments and gives the fiber its striped appearance. Let's take a look at this drawing. This diagram shows muscle attached to a bone here, which is skeletal muscle. We have here fascicles. We also have a muscle fiber. Within this muscle fiber, it's made of myofibrils, and myofibrils are made of myofilaments, which gives it striated appearance. Sarcoplasm is the intracellular fluid between the myofibrils. Potassium, magnesium, and phosphate are found in the sarcoplasm, and also inside the sarcoplasm is the sarcoplasmic reticulum that helps control contraction of muscle. Now, let's move on to the different types of smooth muscle. You have multi-unit smooth muscle versus single-unit smooth muscle. Multi-unit smooth muscle fibers operate independently of others, such that each fiber can contract independently, and its control is exerted by nerve signals. Single-unit smooth muscle does not mean single muscle fibers. In fact, it means a mass of thousands of fibers that contract together as a single unit. How amazing is that, right? So what makes these fibers work? Let's take a look at a sarcomere structure. Here we have a sarcomere which contains thick and thin filaments. We have the thick filaments here, which is myosin. We have the thin filaments here, which is made of actin. The thick filament myosin is anchored at the M line, which is shown here. This is the M line. The thin filament actin is anchored at the Z line, which is shown here. Myosin contains two heads and one tail to bind to ATP. Muscle contracts when these filaments slide past each other, or when actin slides past myosin filaments. Myosin pulls actin along its length, and this pulling mechanism is called the sliding filament mechanism, or the power stroke, which we will expound upon later. Okay. Does smooth muscle have the same striated arrangement of actin and myosin as is found in skeletal muscle? No, but a large number of actin is attached to dense bodies, and some are attached to the cell membrane, and some are actually even inside the cell. Sometimes actin can radiate from dense bodies and overlap myosin, which is similar to the contractile unit of skeletal muscle. Dense bodies serve the same role as the Z line in skeletal muscle.
And as you can see here, the dense bodies that are shown are radiating outside of actin, which is shown in this picture.
Okay, let's move on now to the structure of intercalated discs of cardiac muscle. At each disc, the cell membranes fuse with each other, forming a gap junction that allows rapid diffusion of ions, which allows action potentials to travel easier from cell to cell. Action potentials occur in single smooth muscle the same way as skeletal muscle, but they normally don't occur in multi-unit smooth muscle.